everyone, it's Lorelai Mastodon and welcome back to my channel. Now, I know right away you will notice that this isn't Star Stable Online. This is most definitely The Sims. Recently, I managed to get a hold of the Sims for Pets, Cats, and Dogs expansion pack. They had a sale going on and I decided to buy it due to a comment on my last video of exploring South Hoof, my new home, which is part of my realistic roleplay story, which I won't get too much into it because that's not what this is about. Now, in this comment, I was asked to do the Sims 4 Cats and Dogs Create a Pet Challenge that's been going around YouTube. Now, initially, I wasn't sure that I wanted to do this because my channel is about realistic roleplay and my story on Star Stable Online. But after some help from my club, I decided I would take on this challenge and do it anyway. But you may be wondering how I'm going to turn this into something Star Stable related. Here's how. For those of you who have been paying attention to my videos or have been following me on Instagram, you know I'm part of a club called the Jorvik Dreamers. Now, within my 1 month anniversary of being part of the JDST, I learned that a lot of them have quite a few pets, mainly dogs. However, the way I can turn this into something Star Stable related is I'm going to be recreating the pets from my friends in my club. So first things first, we're going to be starting with Ruby's 2 pets. Now, Ruby has a cat and a dog. Now, this cat is named Tio, and Tio does not look like this. So first things first, we're going to go into breeds, and we're going to try and find what he looks like. Now, from the picture she sent me, which I will put in after I've created him, he is an orange tabby cat. So we're going to look up tabby, and I'm pretty sure they already have orange available as a color. And what we're going to do is we have some facial changes to make because Tio's eyes are not that green. They're not that bright. They are about that color. They're more of a dark green. And as for his nose is actually black, which I think is pretty cool. Now, to me, from these pictures, he looks a bit bright, but there's not too much I can do about that, and this is the easiest of all the pets. Now, for whiskers, he just has regular black whiskers. Actually, his whiskers are white. There we go, white whiskers. Now we're going to come up here because I think this is a good enough representation of Tio, except now that I'm looking at the picture, we're going to have to go into paint mode and we need to do some white markings on his face. So I'm going to move over to my tablet to make this a little bit easier. And we're going to go into this creamy color and make the brush smaller. And looking at this, there's white marks around his face. So we're going to lower the opacity because it's not very dark, but it's just a little color right around here. Almost looks like he's got a cute little mustache. Now, that does not look right because we got it down here. So it's just very close to the corners of his mouth and right up here. Now looking at it, I think, ooh, it's not like my tablet. A very decent representation of the white markings on his face, and I think, now that I'm looking at him, that should be enough. So now we're going to come up here, and we're going to name this cat Tio. So Tio is done. I hope, Ruby, you think I did a good enough job recreating your cat, and I hope he looks as good as you think he does in real life. So I'm going to put a image of Tio in now. Alright, you guys. Next we have Ruby's second pet. Now, Ruby's next pet is a Maltese Shih Tzu mix, and her name is Olive. So we're going to have to go hunting for the closest breed that we can find. So we're going to take a look at the Maltese first. Ooh, very noisy puppy. Now that looks pretty similar to the image that I have for her puppy. But next, why don't we take a quick look at the Shih Tzu before we decide on which puppy we want to use. Thinking about it, I think the one we're going to go with is going to be the Maltese, because the Maltese is a little bit smaller and has a more similar body type to the small puppy that I'm looking at. So because this one is named Olive, we're going to quickly give her a name. Now we need to change her color. Olive does not look like this. Olive is black and white. Now, we're going to go through and we're going to see what we can do about finding some possible coat patterns that could be closely matching. And if not, we're just going to have to use paint mode, which I am not too skilled at because I have only had this game for a very short time. I think this is actually pretty close to how she looks. However, first we have to fix this nose because her nose is solid black and it is a little smaller and more rounded. Let's see what we can find. I think that works. The eyes are fine. We don't really have to worry about that. Now it's time to color. Now 90% of this puppy is black. So we're going to have to take this eyedropper tool and get the black off of the puppy and make our brush fairly large so that we can cover a lot of her body. Now from what I'm seeing from the picture, which I will show afterwards, the black comes down to here, and then I believe there's a little patch of white around her leg, but first we need to finish coloring in her side and try and make it look as close as possible because this will be the first time I have been playing with the Create a Pet, and it did mirror, which is a good thing. And now that I'm looking at her, I believe on this side she has a little white marking. That will just about do it for Olive. But because I noticed something very special about this little puppy, she has a red collar on in one of these pictures. So we're going to find a small collar and we're going to put on the red one. Okay, next we're on to my friend Pony's puppy, who unfortunately does not look like this poodle. However, it did get close on the breed and the color. So Remy is a poodle terrier mix, and I couldn't find any terriers early on that had the right shape for him, so we're going to look up poodle and use the miniature poodle base. We have to go into breeds first. Miniature poodle. Quite cute, quite fluffy. And Remy is, I believe, this color. Now this is a bit too easy, unfortunately, because brown and black dogs generally aren't that much of a struggle. However, his cute little nose needs to change to completely black. And I think his eyes are okay. Now his ears. I don't believe his ears are this long. We're going to make them a bit shorter. Try and move them a bit with that size. I don't know about that. I think these cute little flop ears look a lot like him. And because the very cute picture was sent to me, he's going to get the bandana that's in here, assuming I have it. Now the bandana in the picture is hanging on the front, however, this one will be hanging on the back. However, I think that is actually a walking harness. Now let's see. I do know that there is a walking harness in here, but I think the only one they have is this cute little shark vest. And I don't think that is exactly what we're after. But for the sake of copying the picture to the best of my abilities, this little puppy is Remy. Alrighty, next up for the pet that I'm going to create is for my club owner, Livy. Now, Livy has 3 different dogs, 2 greyhounds, and a Weimaraner. Now, I'm going to be making both of her dogs. So first up, we're going to make her Weimaraner, which is not this small. So we're going to go in here. This one. And I think that's pretty darn close, except I don't believe Scout is this pale. Now I believe Scout is a bit darker, so I'm going to come in here and see if I can find a grayish black that's pretty close to his color, and I think this is as good as I'm going to get. And I believe his eyes are more gray than they are blue. That looks cute. Now, Scout was a little bit easier to make, and he does not have ears like that. He has some more in the scale of floppy ears, but they're not that low. So we're gonna try and bring the ears up like this, and I think from what the picture I have been shown shows and what I'm seeing, besides a cute little white mark right here, Scout is just about done. So we're going to have to sit him down so that we can get close enough to this spot to color it in. And we don't want the mirror. Make it a tiny bit smaller. Now right about here, here's a cute little white spot. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, before we name him, and we need to remove those extra spots. There's another picture with a collar in it. So we're going to try and find a collar similar to what's in the picture, and I'm not sure I'm going to find it. And a bow does not seem fitting. Now from what I've seen, it's a very colorful collar. But one of the colors I can see is green, so we're gonna go with this one, even though it is definitely not a studded collar in the picture, but I think this is a great representation of Scout. Now, we're going to make another one of Livy's dogs also in this video. Actually, why don't we make all three of them? So we have Scout. We need to make 2 different dogs. However, they're the same breed. So what we need to do is we need to look up Greyhound. Now, none of these patterns that they give for the Greyhound is accurate for her dog. However, the proportions for the dog are very well done. So we're going to come over here. Body, I believe, is fine. Tail is fine. Now we need to come into coat pattern. She has a cream colored and a black one. Now actually, with some minor adjustments to the face, I think this is close enough to Kiki, her first Italian Greyhound. Not Italian Greyhound, Greyhound. Gonna select the color on her face. The exception of a few things. Color on her nose. No, I think one side of her face. Is more covered, and we're gonna turn off the mirror just to keep this as natural as possible. She also has a very black nose, which we will need to change. Now I want to color in right here. And I believe that is a pretty close guess at what Kiki looks like. Now, Kiki is also wearing a collar in her picture. So of course, we have to add the pet collar. Now hers is a big thick pink one. Now besides the fact that this thing is studded, and I wish it wasn't, you know what, we're gonna go with this one. Pink collar for Kiki. Now we're gonna quickly put her name up here. And we need to make one more Greyhound. We are going to be making Finn. Now Finn is going to be quite easy. He's just a black Greyhound. That's a very interesting looking dog. Let's go into breeds and let's look for Greyhound once again. And we're going to go to colors and we're going to turn him as black as we can while staying within the colors that she gave me. Now this part is going to be can't. We will just color it in. There we have a nice blue, gray, black base. Now there's a very, very soft shade of pink underneath the arms, and it does not look like this. At least on one side, so we want to remove the mirror and make this a bit smaller. We're gonna want to go with this peachy pink color. Almost like a flesh tone, and we'll fade it out a bit. Now we're going to have to put Finn in this upper position, which is kind of weird, but we're going to color from here up his inner arm. Give him a color, and I think after we change his eye, that will be good. And that looks just about right for this picture. So now we need to go back, give Finn his collar. We should be good. Now Finn is wearing green, so we're just going to throw on this green one, even if it is a bit bright. So we have made Livy's dog Finn another greyhound, and I'm happy with how all three of her dogs turned out. Granted, they were pretty easy, but I hope to make them look as close as possible. But first, I noticed something. We don't have a black nose. Now we do. There we go. Now I will put in pictures of Livy's dogs, Kiki, Finn, and Scout. Alright, so we just finished making Livy's three dogs. Now you may notice in the bottom that some of them have turned black. The file turned them that color, and I'm not sure why, but we're not going to worry about it, and we're going to be making the next puppy on our list. So we're going to be creating Autumn, who is Max's puppy. Now Autumn is kind of an interesting mix. Autumn is 50% Great Pyrenees, 12.5% American Staffordshire Terrier, and a Toy Manchester Terrier. And then she's got another 25% of breeding groups like herding dogs, guard terrier, hound dogs, and then Middle Eastern and Africa type thing. Now, because she's 50% Great Pyrenees, I think we're going to go into breeds and we're going to look for a Great Pyrenees, which they have. Now, Autumn is not white. So first, let's go to her head and fix a few things, because looking at this picture, while she does have this saggy lip right here, her nose isn't quite as short due to the terrier. Okay. Already got a black nose. Brown eyes. Let's do her ears. They're a little floppy, but not too floppy. A bit like that. I don't want them too big. That looks just about right. Now, we need to get into coloring this puppy. So now that we're done here, we're going to go into her coat color. Now there's already some black on her somewhere, and I'm not sure where because she's so fluffy in this picture. But I don't think her body's quite... That looks a bit better. Not as big. So let's go into her colors, and we're going to turn her black. So, oh, we don't want the randomizer. Go black, and then over here, we'll also go black. So the base for her is black, but we need to do some painting to her. Especially on her face, and it's not brown. We need to get a creamy white color, and we need to do the markings around her mouth. Let's see. Have her go on her side so we can get a look. Possibly at her chin. We'll turn off the mirror. Got a white mark like this, and then we'll turn her and move her into this up position so we can bring the little trail that comes down here, which is a lot smaller than this brush. So if we go a lot smaller, at least there, we do a zigzag. And a curve. Somewhat like that. Now we gotta do her feet. Let's see. She has a bit of gray around her nose, but I don't know that we need to do that. So we're just going to work on her chest area and her feet. Now, I do not know how much of this puppy is white on her underbelly, so we're probably just going to wing how it looks. But she has 4 white feet. The one up here on this side is the longest. And we need to make a little line that comes up but doesn't go all the way around. And let's color in the other side. You can get the backs. And I think we did it. Now, I believe if we sit her down, this looks just like Autumn, if not very close to. So I will put a picture in at the end to show you what Autumn in real life looks like. But first, because we have another picture of her in a collar, we need to give her a red or pink collar. We'll go with red, even though that really cuts into the puppy. Doesn't matter. We have now made Autumn. Rottweiler. However, the Rottweiler I'm making does not look like this. So this dog that I'm making is another one of my club members, but her name is Zoe, and her dog's name is Marion. Marion is the nicest cuddle dog I've ever met and looks somewhat like this, is slightly lighter, but I don't know that she's the color of a golden retriever, so we're gonna go with the darker one. Marion is very much a sweet dog and a very cuddly dog, like a giant pillow. I have met her in real life. However, looking at her tail, I don't believe her tail is that long. But she definitely does not have a bobtail. So we're going to stand her up and give her a quick name. I don't have any pictures of Marion. I will try to get some before I upload it and place it in here, but if not, hope I did your dog justice, Zoe, and I think she looks really cute. So, give her a name, and we have now created Marion. So, we have a bonus pet. Now, initially I was going to make this just the people within my club because there were a lot of pets, mostly dogs, but I reached out to someone on Instagram who runs Kate's Sports Apparel, the Edit Tack Shop, She also is known on Instagram as Kate Winterleaf, where her realistic roleplay story is. And I dropped by and asked her if I could create her cat. So this will be Lilia. Now, while this is a pretty close comparison to what she looks like, I don't believe this matches well enough. This is actually the perfect coat. Looking at her, I think, now that I'm looking at it, rather than her looking like a Siberian cat, I do believe she's a Bengal cat. And that's a close color, but she's actually a bit more light brown rather than gray and black. So I'm assuming this is the undercolor for her. Let's see if we can make it a bit lighter. I think that's good. Then we need to fix these colors here. Her spots are black. I'm assuming that's what it's changing. Oh, this is the shadow along her back. Well, the shadow is indeed black. Her undercoat is sort of a soft, creamy brown, while her spots are dark black. Now this color could probably be a bit darker. I think I have done this little feline some justice. So thank you so much, Kate, for letting me create your pet here. I'm super happy that you let me do this as a bonus pet for this video. So make sure you guys give a follow to everyone who supported me and letting me use the photos of their pets and letting me recreate them for this video. I will make sure to link everybody's Instagram down below. And don't forget to check out my Instagram. And until next time, mischief managed.